The father of the late wildlife warrior, Steve Irwin, has launched a $1 million campaign to save the Great Barrier Reef. The new ads will attack the government's fast-tracking of industrial developments along Queensland's coast.
We are dumping not just ordinary dredge material on or near the Great Barrier Reef, but we are dumping toxic material.
Look, it appears that those groups and Mr Irwin are trying to sell a pack of lies to the Queensland community.
The Environment Minister says the government is already looking at halting ports, but Bob's far from convinced and says he's ready for the fight of his life. Kate Lyman, 9 News.
Bob, you were recently called a liar and you're misleading the Queensland public with your comments that you made in the commercial on the Great Barrier Reef. What's your response to that?
Well, Colin, you know, isn't it really interesting in that just a matter of a few weeks after we started this campaign about the Great Barrier Reef, that one of the most important organisations in the world, part of the UN, come out and say exactly the same thing we did, basically. So if we have big organisations around the world that are concerned about our Great Barrier Reef in our country, why the hell shouldn't we be?
And the government has been given a 12-month deadline to improve the health of the Great Barrier Reef. A United Nations report threatens to add Australia to a shame list for failing to protect the natural wonder. It would make Australia the first developed country to be listed. The report says recommendations to restrict development around the reef and to improve water quality have been ignored.
Right. Also, Bob, in the commercial you made some claims that there's 7,000 ships going to come through the reef. They're putting spores in the Great Barrier Reef and around the Great Barrier Reef. Have you evidence of that? Have you cited the evidence?
Yes, Colin. Look. You know, working with people like WWF and the Australian Marine Conservation Society, they do their homework. And I when I first got involved with these groups, I said to them, the figures you've got, how accurate are they? And they said to me, these figures are very conservative. When we say 7,000 ships, we didn't even take into account the coal seam gas ships. All that we took into account was the coal ships. So those figures are really conservative. So maybe we're even looking at 10,000 ships. So, and mate, all it's going to take is one accident. And I don't want to be the guy that says, I told you so.
How do you feel about being called a liar, Bob?
Well, Colin, you know, when you know the same as I do, when you're really passionate about your country and nature, you know, like, you have to be prepared to cop what comes from that.
And Mr Irwin trying to sell a pack of lies to the Queensland community.
Really annoyed me, I think, about it was that this was a statement that was made in the heat of the moment, maybe, and maybe the minister, if he was able to have another go at it.
Mr Irwin trying to sell a pack of lies to the Queensland community. Maybe
he might word it a little bit different.
Have you had a public or a private apology from the minister?
Oh, Colin, I had a bit of a chat to Andrew. He gave me a ring and we discussed it, and I said to Andrew, he's the guy that made the statement, so it's up to him to actually wear what comes from that, you know. I can cope with that. But Colin, if we can just get back to the Great Barrier Reef just for a minute. The thing that really concerns me personally about it is that what gives us the right to use the ocean as a rubbish dump? Because that's what we're doing. And while you and I are sitting here now talking about this, there's more toxic waste being dredged out of Gladstone Harbour and dumped in our beautiful ocean. Who's done their homework? Who knows what's happening to all those precious creatures out there? No one. We don't have that right.
Is that the finish of your ads, Bob, or is there more to come?
I think, Colin, that as this gains some sort of momentum around the world, I think we'll probably push it to the limit.
Imagine if we lost the Great Barrier Reef, the 60,000 jobs and the $6 billion to the Queensland economy. Well, the Queensland government is fast-tracking mega-industrial ports alongside the reef, dredging millions of tonnes of seabed and dumping it in the reef's waters so that 7,000 coal ships can cross the reef every year. It's your reef, but you're going to have to fight for it.
Authorised by Dirk Gorman, WWF Australia, Brisbane.